Hey y'all, it is Friday morning and I have a special treat for you guys today. Today, we are going to talk about being balanced beyond money, right? Wealth is so much more than money. And I have the wealth and wellness experience coming and I've invited a special guest this morning to join you guys. So if you're going to get this on replay, let us know that you saw us in the chat. We are inviting you, grab your coffee, and I am going to invite to the screen. I was about to say to the stage, but to the screen today, I have Miss Latrell Edwards. I'll do her intro in just a second, right after this. Hey, good morning, Latrell. Thank you for joining me this morning for your very first Business Combos and Coffee. And I'm saying your very first because I'm like speaking it into existence that you are coming back. All right.
Excited to be here with you. So excited to be here with you.
Yay. So look, this is what I'm going to do. I want to tell the people about you. I'm going to read your bio just to give people some time to get in. What usually happens is we have people go on replay. So, we're going to do your bio and then I'll let you tell us a little bit of juice. But I just want to get kind of formal for a second. Read your bio. Is that okay?
All right. That's okay. I'm flowing with you. We're going together.
All right. So, Latrell Edwards, she is a woman who was in preparation for her assignment for 20 years from a classroom teacher to a chief financial officer. She was sure that her good enough path will allow her to retire there, but it was positioning for her to a greater platform to educate, empower, encourage, and elevate. Latrell now gets to serve women. Latrell now gets to serve women who wholeheartedly love and serve others as she journeys with them to keep their cups full as an internationally certified empowerment coach. She finds joy on the journey with women who are ready to reach past their own limitations for more. The more is limitless and undefined as the woman stretches for what she really needs and wants in her life, from business to personal growth. Latrell is grateful for the goodness and the grief of her journey, but most grateful that God has allowed her to see the transformation of that woman who sits on the front row and rarely takes time for herself. She has stretched beyond her own limits as a wife, mother, and only child caregiver to become an author, a speaker, and an entrepreneur. Here is her quote. It's easy for me to list my titles and roles to tell you who I am, but it doesn't connect us. What you really want to know is who I really am. It strengthens others when we tell them who we are by the battles that we have overcome in this life. It empowers us and others when we don't allow our flaws to hold us back, but accept them and to know that despite everything that we are, still worthy of God's grace. The next time someone asks you who you are, tell them you are really who you really are and watch how you impact and influence their life. So look, Latrell, thank you for coming again. What a powerful statement. What powerful intro. So this is why I invited Latrell, guys. Latrell is like, she has this Instagram, Love You Heaps, which we have here. But Latrell, what did I miss? Because I just can't wait for you to just open your mouth. You please tell us what are we give us, what do you do? Because I say empowerment coach. What is an empowerment coach and what does an empowerment coach do?
So one of the things that I specifically do as an empowerment coach is I nudge and help that woman to stretch. Specifically,
Full screen here, yeah. So yeah, she'll be back in a second. So Latrell helps women stretch beyond their limits, and I love that about her. So this conversation, and today we're talking about being balanced beyond money. right? It's more than what you take home. It's more than, being that power mom or being that boss or whatever. This conversation is about being a balanced business owner, being a balanced parent, being a balanced spouse. And Latrell is the perfect person for us to have that conversation with. Come on, Latrell.
So I don't know what is going on here with the not wanting us to get this conversation out, but we're going to keep rolling on because we don't get stopped easily when we have a message to ascend to. And so I don't get bothered. We're just going to keep rolling and we're going to keep doing it. But I think you said it perfectly. We have to have balance as women. And so I specifically support the woman who everybody leans on. Everybody thinks that she has everything going on and everything in the whole wide world is perfect for her, but she also needs someone to stretch her, someone that she can feel secure with, because she has impact and influence. And so she normally is the one, and everyone knows this person that you're like, oh, I have a problem. I need to call this person. I need to call Latrell. I need to call Spiceda. But she also has her own battles. And so for me, kind of through this life that I have been granted to live, that God has allowed me to journey, he has also said to me, you have to share with people how you are resilient and how you can get back up. And that's not just after your battles are over, it's in the middle. And so a lot of times when I'm speaking to that woman, to that strong woman, I'm also talking to me because I get the nudge first. And so, as we are trying to run businesses, be moms, be parents, be wives, be friends, be daughters, and we could just go on with the list on and on, we have to make sure that we are looking at the woman in the mirror. We are communicating with her. We are asking her, what do you need? What do you want? And we are pursuing it. Sometimes when we get ourselves to a certain level, we feel like there's no more abundance for me. There's nothing else for me to reach for. But I am here to say otherwise, because as long as you have breath in your body, you
for the conversation, just so that sometimes as business owners, we need to just look at the person in the mirror, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman. We're just looking at the person in the mirror, just trying to move past, or make it to that next level. Because sometimes we're like, okay, I'm successful in business, but am I successful, with my kids? Or
in
am
life.
I successful as a wife? And you're like, sometimes even, I mean, she said from the front row, right? She's saying from the front row because Latrell is also a first lady. She's a pastor's wife. That was her subtle way of letting you guys know. But even in that role, you're always being pulled on, right? It's kind of like, how do you take care of yourself when you're taking care of others? How does that look, Latrell? And how does that show up? And how does a woman find you and decide that, hey, you know what? Maybe I should call someone like Latrell, get an empowerment coach, call Latrell. How do we do that? How do you know that that's what you need? Because sometimes you don't know what you need.
Correct. And so I think the first thing is the front row is not just because I'm married to a pastor. It's also, again, for me, very serious about women. And sometimes they don't realize that they are impacting and influencing others. They don't realize that people are watching and waiting for their light. And so sometimes you aren't sitting in that kind of position, but you are sitting in the front row. You are leading, you are trail.
And we just keep it rolling.
But I think one of the things that is so important for her to find me is, first, I'm not for everyone. And I say that unapologetically. I am not here to serve every single woman because some aren't ready. So it means that you have to be ready and prepared to stretch. You feel that nudge already in you, that you're like, I want more. I need more. There's something else out there for me. But if you don't allow that nudge to speak, sometimes we quiet her. Like you're in church or you're somewhere public and you have a little child and you're like, shh, be quiet. There are so many women that do that they want to quiet who they are. And I've been guilty of that as well, feeling like I've reached a plateau and I'm like, no, I don't need to be any louder. I don't need to reach for anything. There's no more abundance. But in the journey that I had with my mom becoming ill and all of the titles and all of the roles had to go away because I had to become a caregiver. I had the opportunity, God saw enough in me to allow me to kind of be rebirthed, to know who I really, really was. Because sometimes we get so caught up in the titles and the roles that we forget who we really are. What are those things that you're still reaching for? What are you still hoping for? What are you still dreaming about? Because
Mhm.
sometimes we stop dreaming. And so how you can find me is thank you for putting that there. LYH Love You Heaps. And that came about because my grandmother used to tell us, love you heap big much. And it starts and begins and ends with you. As you serve other people, as you impact and influence other people, you have to apply that same thing to yourself. And so I have to love me. I can't wait for you to love me because you won't know how to love me if I'm not sure how to love myself. And so from
Mhm.
business all the way to personal growth. And sometimes people are like, well, what I don't even know what I want. It's because you haven't taken the time to hear yourself, to listen
Mm.
to yourself, to look in the mirror because
Mm.
she's telling you. You hear it. If you
That's
are the
true.
woman that has impacted, you hear that, you feel that nudge. And I, for so many years, quieted. I was like, shh, we just gonna roll on with where we are. And I had to
Mm.
listen. And so I'm so passionate about helping her, but she has to want the help for herself.
So, what does stretching feel like? So, you said, how do we know? Like, I wrote down when you were talking, I was like, how do we know when we need to stretch? Because sometimes we feel like we were stretched far enough, right? As like, leaders in our business or leaders in corporate America, or just, where you are. You like, I'm already a mom, I'm already, running a business, I'm a boss. Like, yesterday, it's so funny. It was, yeah, yesterday, I was driving Sayla to school. And my daughter is like boss baby. And so she's like, Mommy, are you the boss at work? And I said, yeah. I said, I'm the boss at work. And I said, but what made you ask me, am I the boss of work? Why do you think mommy's the boss at work? And she said, I know. First, I asked her, "What does it mean?" I said, "What does it mean to be the boss at work?" She says, "You tell people, you help people know what to do." It's like she didn't say tell them what to do. She said you help people like know what to do. And I said, "I do." And she says, "And because, mommy, you're so busy, you must be the boss." And I was like, I don't know if I want her. I like the fact that she sees my hustle. But then the other side of it is, do I want her to feel like the boss works hard, right? I don't think that's the lesson I want to give her. I want to give her that the boss is fulfilled, not that the
Yes.
boss is always working. And so it kind of gave me a moment to be like, I think I like it because at least she knows that when mommy's not there, mommy's just not there. Mommy's hustling. But I want her to also know that, mommy's fulfilled. So what I said to her was, I said, but mommy's working really hard so that I could spend more time with you so we can have a really fun summer. That's why mommy's working so hard so I could spend more time with you. So it's just for a little while like that. And she was just like, okay, girl. She's just, my daughter's a whole mood. So, but yeah, so at the end of the day, I don't want her to feel like my mama's busy, right?
Yeah.
The
And
boss
we're
is
using the
busy
word
because he's
hustle.
going to grow up and be a busy boss,
Yeah.
right?
When we use the word hustle, it means we're in a hurry. It means that we are doing something, we're on the grind, and those things are great. But I want to do what I do and be fulfilled. I want to wake up every morning and not feel like it's a burden, but that it is absolutely a blessing. And I love that you want to show that to your daughter. That was one of the things for me that was so important. My daughter and I co authored a book. We released it in October. It's called A Harvest from Within, a personal journey of resilience. And she responds to
Mhm.
what she sees me going through. She's 15, but it was important for me to have her, one, become an author at the age of 15, and two, for her to know that I didn't just wake up like this, that it takes.
Back. Did you hear what I said?
I did not.
I was like, I just think that it's awesome that, you and your daughter wrote a book. And I hope I get it right. A Harvest Within, a personal journey for resilience.
Yes,
And
A
I
Harvest from
hope
Within.
that
Yes.
Laura
Mhm.
can pull that up. Like if we can, is that on Amazon?
No, we self-published because it was so important for us with the project. So we designed everything from the cover, all of the pieces we did, and I have one here. So I'll
Yeah,
show you
let
real
us see
quick.
a book. And how do we get the book though?
If you go to my website, LYH Love You Heaps, there is a page that is also called A Harvest from Within. But if you go to the main page, you'll be able to see it. But this is the book. This is the cover. This is actually the guided journal that goes along with it. We designed this. And for
This is
us, for
beautiful.
me, I need to leave here empty. And so all
Mhm.
of the things that are inside of me that I need to do, that I'm so afraid, sometimes we're so afraid to do things. We're so afraid to step out. We're so afraid to lose control is what I call it.
Mhm.
And so this is really for someone is like, I just need a little bit of help. One of the readers sent me a wonderful message. She said, this has been so good to go along with my Bible because I just needed something a little extra. I share my journey, but then I kind of give what I call nudge lessons and nudge moments for that woman to kind of think about, because I didn't want it to just be about me, but how do you see your life in me? And then my daughter's part is she's 15. She
Mhm.
hasn't experienced the life that I have, but she's watched me cry every day as I was caring for my mom with Alzheimer's disease and trying to figure out how to be from going from the C-suite to being a caregiver. That's how drastically my life changed as an only child. And I'm grateful for the
Mhm.
journey, but I needed her to know that it wasn't just about I came out looking pretty. I had to do the work.
And you definitely come out looking pretty, friend.
Oh, thank you.
You always look beautiful, and you are so gracious and grateful in doing it. I know being a caregiver, it's tough. And and for you, you recently just lost your mom. You recently just experienced, your first Mother's Day without your mom. And that stuff is
Yeah.
tough. And so, like, I mean, I lost my sister. My
Mm-hmm.
husband lost his mom and his dad. And it's just like you see people lose people, and others, their life goes on, right?
Yeah,
And our lives even go on,
they
right?
do.
Even when our loved ones transition, but we miss them, right? Like even last week, I think it was, me, Laura, and Kelsey were here reviewing Combos and Coffee last week. I was getting ready to go to Mother's Day, and I had this thought that, when I get to Jacksonville, because I was looking a hot mess. As I combed my hair this week for Combos and Coffee.
It's
But last
beautiful.
week I wasn't feeling so cute, but I was like, we're gonna do this. I said, I'm gonna just have my sister braid my hair when I get home. And in that moment, I realized my sister wasn't gonna be there. And I'm here in this meeting, being a boss, as Sailor would say, and I just start crying.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I meant to cry. It was just because sometimes I cry and I'll cry by myself. And when I show up at work, my team is, I'm gone, right? And even when I show up at the school, I'm gone. But I may have those moments where I cry. And in that moment, I was like, I can't believe I cried, in front of my team. But I couldn't hold it back because I miss my sister.
Yeah.
Normal moments, I miss her, but I might just be laying in my bed. And so, it's kind of like, it's one of those moments, even that more. I write, and I'm an author. I haven't fully published my book. It's coming this year, so I'm very
Yay.
proud to have people who author. I have so many unpublished books and books that, are coming out. But this one, I'm coming, it's definitely coming. And so, but what I did was I cope. Like it's interesting that you have the journal. And back in my college days, I have books like about this thick, and I was a journaler, and
Mm-hmm.
I journal in poetry. And so as I went into my career, right, I kind of lost that creative side for a minute. So I didn't do any poetry for a minute, and I stopped writing for a minute. But like now I've found my writing again in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that morning I woke up and I just wanted to write. I didn't have a paper. I just had my cell phone. And I picked up my cell phone and I wrote a voice note. And it's really a poem, and it was titled I Miss My Sister.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just a way for me to like cope with it and get
Yeah.
beyond it. And it's such a beautiful poem. I was gonna send it to my sisters and my mom, but my phone is booked and busy. So I be booked and busy, and my pull phone can't send out. I can't take any pictures. I can't do anything.
Oh, your storage. Yeah, you got to clear some stuff out.
Girl, I have like I can't. People probably like, did she not do? I'm usually a poster, but I could not even post because I can't post nothing because my phone is full. But I really wanted. I can do voice notes, and so I would really like. I wanted to share that Mother's Day because I thought that it would help people because I think that grief goes beyond the funeral. And I think people think that it doesn't, or not that I don't think people think that it doesn't. I just think that in our lives, we aren't taught to deal with it beyond, right?
Yeah.
Because remember, a long time ago, people used to have to wear black for a long time. They were grieving until they took off the black.
An outward sign. But grief is something that you carry. Some days it's light. Some days it is heavy beyond compare, and you don't know what to do with it. And I always encourage that woman, that strong woman that has impact and influence, lean in, let it take you exactly where it needs to take you, but it's in the getting back up. And when you are nudged to share, to empower, and to encourage other people, you are absolutely supposed to do that. And so for me, anytime that something pops up and I'm like, I need to share. People were asking me right after my mom passed, how are you sharing this? How are you not falling apart? I am falling apart, but I have to be able to, my job, I'm still here. My mom deposited everything that she needed to into me. And so it is my job to fulfill that. I miss her, but she did her work. She absolutely did her work. And so now it's for me to step boldly and authentically into who I am to help and share others. That's why we're here. We're not here to stay quiet about what we're going through and how we get back up. And so I would encourage you, the next time that you're feeling that way with your team, let it out, lean in. It doesn't mean that you aren't who you are. It means that you're a person and that you can give somebody else hope. And that's what I work towards. Even on the business side, sometimes we are so scattered as women and we're like, I don't know what plan is going to work. How is this? And so I go through the core positions. I'm getting ready to start a cohort. I normally coach one-on-one because most of the women that allow me into their space, it's such a sacred space for them. And one of the things that I've been working on to kind of expand the brand and just the ministry of not feeling like you're all by yourself, because the enemy will make us believe, girl, you're the only one dealing with this. And so you need to get over it. And that's not true.
It's true.
That is not true. That is a lie. And so
but you feel like you're the only one. You like nobody experienced this kind of pain like I do. And then, but recently it has made me more empathetic to people because I've lost people before, but it's something about, I don't know, something recently it's just different because you realize that at some point you're not going to be here for your kids, and like I want to leave empty.
I tell my daughter that all the time. I'm like, I'm not going to always be here. And that is how it's designed. That's what we forget, that is how it's designed. And so we have to be able to teach them while we're here, to show them while we're here. We grew up in a generation that you didn't, I don't know about your family, but my family, you find out the family tea and you're like, what happened?
Girl, you telling the truth here. Look, sometimes I feel like we're getting to know our parents. Like sometimes I learn things about my mom, but now I actually feel like I know her, right?
Yep.
And even with my dad, it's kind of like, gosh, you did that. Like, it's just very interesting. Even my grandfather, he and I have a lot of conversations, and he's one of those people who's constantly telling you, I'm not always going to be here. And so on my birthday, I called him and I said, Granddaddy, I'm just calling you because I want you to give you the opportunity to wish me happy birthday. Because that's how we talk to each other. And he's like, yeah, so we're talking how we normally talk, how's the business going or whatever. And so then he tells me something that I didn't know that was kind of like, he was like, I don't know, like he's like, actually his cancer came back. And I said, is that something that you wanted to tell me on my birthday? Couldn't you have told me that tomorrow? Are you trying to make me depressed? Because I think you've been lying to me. And so he's like, well, shoot. He's very like, look, this it is what it is. And yeah, I probably didn't tell you the truth because I want you to know. But now I need you to know he's 93. But you know,
Oh, that's such a
I
blessing.
said, I expect you to be here at least until 120. And so he's like, well, I may or may not be here. Like, this is how he talks to me. And sometimes I just be like, I don't feel like hearing that today. Today is my birthday.
Yep. But it's those kind of conversations that will stay with you forever. And when he is gone, you'll remember those things. And so that's just where I am. Just again, I'm not for everybody. Everybody can't handle the nudging. They're like, no, I'm gonna pretend like I'm living my little perfect life and I don't want to stretch and I don't want to reach for any of my abundance. And you feel these annoyances, you're apprehensive, we're scared. Those are all real feelings that we have, but
they are very real feelings.
Yes.
I just wanted to say I've been there before. You know, I am in a coaching program, and I remember speaking to a friend of mine who's now a coach. His name is Dante, and Dante would check on me quite often. And one day he was like, what is wrong with you? I mean, I've had friends say that to me before. I mean, I had my friend Jomo years ago when I moved to Atlanta. He came to me and he was like, what is wrong with you? And he was like, I feel like you went into hiding. And I feel like I did. I mean, because you know me from college, right? In college, I felt like I was Superwoman, and I didn't want to be Superwoman anymore. I just wanted to be what I call normal. I didn't want to be I didn't want to be student body vice president. I didn't want to be AKA president. I didn't want to be NPHC president. I didn't want to be like all these leadership things. I just wanted to be Spiceda.
Yeah.
And so what I did was if you tried to give me a title, even now, you know, I've gotten better, right? I've because I've had to deal with my own what you call demons of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten better. So if you tried to tell me you're going to be the leader, I'm like, oh heck no, I'm not going to be the leader. What I'm going to be the leader of is what I've decided I'm going to be the leader of, which is X Financial Inc. and my household. And I'm the queen of my castle, and that's all I want to be. And if you try to make me be anything else, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And so I realized I was doing that and actually kind of doing self-sabotaging things. Like, I just won't show up.
Yep.
So it's like, I ain't coming. So and I will tell you I'm not coming. I'm not a no-show person,
right?
But I'm very much a pushback person. So I've taken that say no thing, I think, a little too far sometimes. And I would say no, because I have no problem saying no. And, you know, my pastor's wife, she could tell you from when I was 16 years old, I sit in the pastor's office and I told him in a conference, a no is a no is a no. You're not going to make me let that little girl hold my camera. She told a pastor on me, Latrell. So, I mean, I've learned how to say no, and I'm okay with saying no and moving on and resting in where I am.
Yeah.
But sometimes even that comfort isn't where you want to be. You're comfortable, but that's not where you want to be, right? I want to go and do other things, right? So this year on my birthday, I told myself, I said, this is what you want. And I've always wanted it. I've always wanted to be an author. I've always wanted to be a writer. And I said, I'm going to be a New York Times bestselling author. And my book is going to be the next Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because I had to tell myself that it was okay.
Yeah.
Because before I was like, I want that, but I don't want it on them terms, because I know what's on the other side of that. I know what happens. I know when people start pulling on you and nudging on you and wanting you to pour some into them and you need some for yourself. And, you know, I've lived that life, and I lived it in my 20s. And I decided I gave my 20s to leadership. I wasn't going to give my 30s to leadership. So, I mean, I guess I'll come back in my 40s. But I just kind of, you know, that's where I am. So I think an empowerment coach it's not that you're not already empowered. Because I know that I'm empowered to win, but sometimes we retract back and choose not to win.
Or you always need a reminder.
Give me my words of wisdom.
So I think as we get kind of ready to close, and I know I saw that there might be some questions. There's a couple things that I want to share. One, every journey, our journey will always be with goodness and with grief. There is not one thing that we will do in this life that we will not experience the goodness of or the grief of. And so we just have to figure out how to keep the balance. Two, there is always a nudge within you. If you are the woman that impacts and influences, and there is a light in you, you're always going to feel that. And so, when people say to me, you push, you push. No, I nudge I awaken what's already in you. And I just help you journey. I help you lose control. I help you not be afraid anymore to reach and to stretch, because you aren't going to break. You asked me that earlier about stretching. It is
Mhm.
reaching and pulling, but you're not going to break. And you have to believe that everything that you have experienced thus far was supposed to be just for you. And three, it's okay not to be okay. And so when I need to retreat and I need to pull back and I need to sometimes check my circle, because maybe you aren't the circle that I need at this season in my life. And so as
Mhm.
I continue to be elevated, I got to have the right people around me, because I don't need people that are going to say, girl, don't do that. Don't do that. I need somebody. Yes, 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 you can. Keep going. Keep going. Cry if you need to. Feel, lean into the grief if you need to, but keep going, because the goodness is on the other side. And so
Yes.
that's where I am. I'm going to keep reaching and keep stretching, because I know I'm not going to break. I haven't broken thus far. And so I believe that I won't break as I continue to reach for my abundance and all that there is for me to do, because I intend to leave here empty. If the book fails, if this fails, if that fails, I'm going to do it, because somebody needs to be encouraged by my life. And that's
Yeah.
just where I am. And I'm ready to journey with women who are ready to be there. That's why I said everybody can't journey with me, because some aren't ready. Some are watching and waiting, and they're like, no, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. Yes, it's scary. It's going to be scary.
Mhm.
But if we journey together, if we get ourselves properly positioned, and that's the cohort that I'm going to be launching next month, properly positioned to reach for my abundance. And
So is
so
it
I'm
called
just happy to
properly
be here with
positioned?
you.
Properly positioned is what it's called.
Properly
What's the
positioned.
date? Give us the date, Latrell. Or how do we follow it? Do we go to loveyouheaps.com? We put your comments up here. Like, I am so excited to have had the opportunity to have this conversation about grief with you guys, because I've dealt with my grief. Latrell's dealt with her grief. We've all been caregivers at some point. Like, my mom was sick, my sister cared for her, then I lost my sister. And, I was even thinking about that this morning. But, I'm so happy that we've been able to have this conversation. And how do we need to register for this event? This is exciting to just have, women who feel like, you have a safe space to talk, or
Yeah.
you're not feeling like somebody's looking at you like, Heffa, you got it all. What are you talking about? You
And
need
most times when we act that way, we're insecure and we don't have it all. And so we're just putting on a mask. But for Loving the Woman in the Mirror, it's on May 24th at 6:30. There was a link, and if you go to
It's
my
in the chat, I
profile,
think.
yes. All you have to do is register. It's a free event. And it's just a conversation. It is a conversation. Now, I won't promise you that you won't be nudged. I won't promise you that you won't feel like there are some things that you need to do, because that is a part of my assignment, to really talk about those things that you feel, but you've been afraid to speak out loud because you didn't want anyone to know. But when you speak it, then you can reach for it. And that's how you continue to stretch. And so the book is just also an outward extension of that as well, in everything that I do. I didn't realize when I was writing the book, I felt like I was on a race, because I felt like I needed to get everything out before my mom passed away, and God was gracious. We launched, had the book launch in October. My mom passed in December. And I remember my aunt crying at the launch, and she's like, oh, I wish your mom could be here to see this. And I said, but that's the point, Auntie. She can't, because I wouldn't have had the journey to be able to write the book. I wouldn't have been able to have the journey. And so I'm grateful for everything. My grief is always there. It's not something you get over. You don't get over grief. It
Mhm.
just doesn't happen. You carry it. Some days it's light, and some days it is absolutely heavy, and you feel like you're going to fall apart. However, you keep going, because that's where your resilience comes in.
Mhm.
You reach for your joy, not necessarily for your strength, because sometimes we've gotten ourselves on a bad rap and we're like, oh, I'm the strong woman and I got the cape. No, no, no. I'm gonna put the cape in the closet. I'll let somebody else have that. But as I reach for my joy and remember the goodness, but I also have to carry the grief on my journey. So I'm grateful to be here with you. I know we had some difficulties, but I think we
Oh
were still able
no,
to
I
empower
think
others.
no, I think we got out what we needed to get out. And I wanted this conversation to be about, to be being balanced beyond your business,
Yes.
balanced beyond your numbers. We were playing with so many titles: empowered beyond your numbers, empowered beyond your business. And I was like, you know what? We all just want balance.
Yeah, we want
And you
balance.
and I speak the same language. I talk about, going to your limitless life, feeling limitless, feeling like, you can have what you say you can have. You can have what God says you can have. And
Yeah.
he says that we can have the desires of our hearts. And so, thank you for coming
Thank
to
you.
help us, lean in and
Yep.
not be afraid to say what the desires of our hearts are and to have what we say we have, right? And not only see that as a negative thing, like, usually you're talking and you might say, oh, my arm hurt, or oh, I got this. And people are like, no, 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 change your language to make it more positive. But sometimes you need to not even make it more positive. You just need to say the positive that's in your heart out
Yes.
loud to remind yourself, this is who you are. Because sometimes we forget. We get wrapped up in the titles,
We
right?
do. We
And,
get into the titles.
yeah, girl, I'm trying to shed all these titles. I don't want them. I don't
But
want them.
sometimes you
I
just
just
need
want
to
to
be
be
able to
me.
tell people, I'm still a recovering perfectionist. I'm the woman who still, at times goes back and forth because I feel like I need to, remind myself that I'm worth it.
Mhm.
And so that's what it's about for me. And I think too, with our abundance, we want to reach for things that we can call by name because we can control it, but that's not how it
Yeah,
works. It's
that's
sometimes you're reaching
exactly
for
what
stuff
it
that doesn't
is.
even have a name yet. It doesn't have a name yet. You
Yes.
don't know because you're not in control. And so for
Look,
me, it is saying to that woman, lose control, ma'am. It's
I
okay.
can't, I can't, I can't do
But
it.
you have to, because you're limiting yourself. The limitations that we have to get over is ourselves. It's
Mhm.
not other people. We want to make it be other people. We want to blame other people. It's because I can't control it that I'm going to say I
Mm.
can't do it. But I
Mm.
serve women to help them believe beyond what they can control and their limitations. And I know that seems like, well, what is the tangible thing? The tangible thing is I don't get to name it because
Look
it
at
may not
you.
have a name yet.
Why you trying to
I
throw
think about
darts
my
at
my own
me?
journey with my mom.
Head with that. Sometimes there are things that we don't want to do because we can't control it, right? And really, she preaching on that. Like sometimes I realize, like in this moment, in just you saying just that, Latrell, I've realized that sometimes I don't lean in because I can't control it, and I hold myself
Absolutely.
back to only do what I could control. But that's
Got to
not
lose
even
control.
faith. That's
We have to
not
be
even
willing to
faith.
lose it. And
That's
that's the
not even
woman.
faith.
That's the woman. Yes, because faith is about what you can't see, what you can't name. You're reaching. It's just the step that you're on. It all sounds cliche, but it really is. If I have
Hmm.
faith, I don't know what it is. I'm
But
just
we
going to take the
go.
journey, and I'm going to take the goodness and the grief that goes along with it. But we try to control it. I am guilty of that because at some point God was like, "Oh, he made me feel like," or I just felt like, "Oh, he's let me control everything." And then when my mom got ill, it was like, "Nope." Mm-mm. And so I tell people, and they don't quite understand it. My mom's illness saved my life because I had to rethink, I had to relook at who I was. I
Mhm.
had to start almost completely over because all of the titles and the roles had to go away because I had to resign from my six-figure position, my C-suite level position that I was like, oh, I made it.
And you can make that money without sitting in the C-suite. Did
But I
you realize
never thought about that because I didn't know to stretch beyond it. And that's the point. We don't know. Something has to happen within our lives that
that?
has us to remember that you can stretch beyond right here.
Mm.
And that was what happened for me. And so all I try to do is share that. And it just so happened to, it turned into a brand and it turned into a ministry. And so I'm just running and rolling with it. And however it happens, that's what happens.
Well, I believe this is my ministry. And so
It
I'm
is
just
yours.
so happy that I'm able to just change the conversation. I just decided this month it's going to be about, like, I'm always talking about taxes and your business and the money, but like, we got to be balanced
Yeah,
beyond
I love
business.
it.
And it's not about the money. I mean, I love this conversation that we just had, just about like, doing it scared. That's what they call it. Do it scared. And, I'm in a business coaching program, a couple, but this one in particular is, Black business owners. Hush, phone, hush. I'm talking. So, it's with Black business owners. And, we'll say to each other, do it scared, right? And I've done a few things scared. I can't say so many. I've done a few things scared, right? I started my business scared. I moved into a retail front with 25 clients which wasn't enough revenue to cover the rent and in this space. I did that scared. I bought this building scared. I moved into what I'm telling my team we're going to hit. We're going to be, more than a six-figure business. We're going to be a 7 and an 8-figure business, right? I did that scared. I jumped into coaching programs that literally I have spent like over $100,000 in
Mm-hmm.
coaching just so that I could get to that next level because I know that I can do it, right?
Yeah.
And so that was me stepping out into faith and saying, let's do it. And so, like, I don't know if you know this, and I hope you come and attend. I have partnered with Ebony Lucas, my friend, our soror, and she's also my client. And she approached me about doing what's called doing the Wealth and Wellness Experience in Tulum, Mexico. And when she first asked me, Latrell, I'm gonna be honest, I was like, no. But I didn't tell her no. Ebony kind of just pushed me into it. She was like, no, 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 you, because at first I thought she wanted me to be a speaker, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll be a speaker. And she was like, well, no, 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 I want you to be a part of the committee. And I'm like, oh no, I'm busy. I can't do that. And so, and a part of it was, yes, I'm busy, but a part of it was I knew I wanted to do an event. I didn't know how to get started. And I knew that that's where I needed to be and what I needed to be doing. But at that point, I was doing it scared, right? And so I talked to my husband, Joey, about it. And I said, Joey, should I do it? And he's like, yeah. I mean, I'm starting to lean into programs and people and doing things all about reaching balance and doing what I love, which I love what I do. I love helping small business owners, but I also love it because I feel like I'm able to be limitless and it's helping me to be limitless. Because at the end of the day, we do what we do and we do it how we do it because we want to have freedom of time, right? We want to have freedom of choice. And we want to have the freedom to be with our loved ones, during moments of grief, during moments of caregiving, and not having to worry about money in the back of our heads, right? But what happens when you are comfortable, right? When you're able to make some freedom of choice, not full freedom, but you got some freedom of choice. What does wealth look like? It doesn't look like money for me. Wellness is, totally not attached to money for me. I'm showing a little cold shoulder today, but it's about being freedom. And so, what good is it to build a life and not be able to enjoy it? And so, I want to invite you guys to the Wealth and Wellness Experience with me in Tulum, Mexico. We'll be joined by a host of brilliant and awesome speakers that that you guys would love. We have Chrisette Michelle there. Ebony Lucas will be there. Plant Based Jeff will be there. We have a whole lineup of great speakers and great people just attending the conference. We want you to be there. It's going to be a conference like no other. It's going to be one where we focus on you. the whole you. It's not about sitting down and listening to information. It's about leaving with a relaxation that you didn't have, and to being able to live, whole and limitless. All right, that's what I have for you guys today. I don't want to keep y'all long. You know that I love you. I'm so grateful for those of you who joined the conversation. I kind of held this in the bag. Latrell is also my line sister. Last week I interviewed Michelle, Calligraphy by Michelle. This week I had the great fortune of bringing in Love You Heaps, Latrell, to join us for this great conversation. And I hope that you guys will come back and see us. And join the conversation with me next week. Share the group with your friends, and just join the blog. It would see the blog. She put subscribe to the channel if you're watching it on YouTube. All right, that's all I got for y'all. Let me see if y'all had any more comments in the chat. Vanetta, thank you, sis, for joining. Vanetta is my sister. Thank you for joining us. And I'm so happy that this conversation was able to bless you too. All right, thank you, Keisha, for joining the conversation. Our line sister. Let's see, I've seen Dr. Monique, you were here. Thank you guys for joining. Share this with your friend. And if you're watching it on replay and it blessed you, share it. And if you'd like to come and have a conversation with me, come on aboard and have the conversation, guys. I'll see you guys later. I love you. Don't forget to move your whole life in the right direction. And I say that that's up. Latrell, would you like to say any parting words before we go?
No, just again, lean in, ladies, and don't forget to stretch and reach for your abundance. It's there waiting for you. It doesn't always have a name. You won't be able to control it. There's going to be goodness and grief, but just lean in. And so, Spiceda, I am over the moon happy that I was able to spend some time with you. Love, love, love spending time with you and seeing that we, although on separate journeys, are here to help and support and empower others. And so, absolutely, thank you for having me today, and we will see where this takes us.
Yay! Thank you for joining me. You got my cheeks hurting. This has just made my heart happy. I mean, I feel like I need to have a good old cry. This was just so great, y'all. I'll see you guys next week. 9 a.m. ish. I'm here on time for my guests, but I will see y'all here at 9 a.m. ish next Friday. And I love you. Don't forget to move your profit in the right direction. And I'm Spiceda Jackson, the accountant that you love. You can follow me at xfinancialcpa.com or subscribe to my YouTube channel at Spiceda Jackson. I'll see you guys soon. Mwah. Bye.